This is the story of the world's shortest war. It began in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland. At least, that's what everyone thinks. But in fact, the fighting started way before that. It just took us a while to notice. In a secret bunker beneath the streets of London, a team of brilliant codebreakers led by the legendary Alan Turing were in a race against time. Working in near total silence, they waged a different kind of war. One that would change the course of history and ultimately shorten the deadliest conflict the world had ever seen. Their weapon of choice, the power of math. Their enemy, some of the most advanced encryption technology the world had ever known. They didn't have tanks or fighter jets, just typewriters, paper and pencils, and a lot of really big books. Can you imagine? And yet these intellectual warriors faced down some of the greatest minds of their generation. Men who quite literally wrote the book on cryptography. Today, we use codes and ciphers every day, everything from passwords to encryption. But back then, this was cutting-edge stuff, and it all came down to this guy, Alan Turing. So here's how it went down. You probably already know about World War II. By 1939, things were heating up and the British government needed a way to intercept German messages. But first, let's talk about the Germans and their fancy pants military machine called Enigma. Now, if you're thinking Enigma sounds a lot like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, well, you're not wrong. See, Enigma was a device used by German forces during World War II to encrypt their messages. Basically, it was like a really fancy typewriter, except instead of just typing out letters, it scrambled them, turning each letter into a totally different one. For example, if I typed out hello, it might come out something like, and that's just basic stuff. This thing could generate billions of possible combinations every single day. The idea was that since there were so many possible ways a message could be encoded, it would be virtually impossible for anyone to crack the code. In fact, the Germans thought their Enigma machine was so advanced that they even bragged about it in their own intercepted messages, completely unaware that those very messages were about to fall into the hands of Britain's top codebreakers. Now enter Alan Turing, a brilliant mathematician and the father of theoretical computer science. Along with his team of top-secret codebreakers, they set out to do the seemingly impossible. Break the Enigma code. The stakes couldn't be higher. If they failed, the Germans could easily track their communications, giving them a major advantage in the war. And trust me, nobody wanted that. So let's see how they did it. Turing's team first had to understand how the Enigma machine worked. It wasn't easy. The machine had a keyboard, but when you pressed a letter, it didn't print out that letter. Instead, it lit up a different combination of lights. Let's say you press the button for E, which is the most common letter in the English language. But instead of printing out E, it lit up, say, the letter Q. If you typed out another message, say R, it wouldn't print out R, but rather maybe W. Each time you pressed a button, it generated a random letter, and that's just scratching the surface. The Enigma machine had rotors that shuffled around the letters, making the code nearly impossible to crack. But Turing was up for the challenge. He knew he needed a machine to do what the Enigma could, only backwards. It was a daunting task, but he was up for the job. So where did he start? Well, with a massive book of ciphers. Back then, code breaking was more art than science. Turing and his team pored over pages and pages of encrypted messages, trying to find patterns and weaknesses in the Enigma code. They worked tirelessly, often spending 12 hours a day in the office. But as the war raged on, they knew they needed to move faster. Enter the bomba machine, an early computer that used a series of gears and wheels to rapidly test thousands of possible Enigma settings. The bomb was a game changer. It could do what would have taken a human codebreaker weeks in a matter of minutes. And it all came down to this guy right here, some guy named Alan Turing. His brilliance gave life to the bomb, allowing his team to outsmart the Germans at their own game. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Building the bomb wasn't easy. Not only did Turing and his team have to keep their work top secret, They also had to convince the British government to fund their project. Money was tight during the war, and many officials thought the Enigma code was simply unbreakable. But Turing persisted. He knew that with enough time and effort, his team could crack the code. And eventually they did. In 1942, Turing and his team successfully decrypted a German message. It was a major victory, but it was just the beginning. Over the next few years, the bomb machine helped crack thousands of German messages, providing valuable intelligence to the British military. But why does any of this matter? What's so great about cracking a bunch of old German codes? Well, for starters, it helped win a war. Historians estimate that breaking the Enigma code may have shortened World War II by 2 years, saving millions of lives. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. You see, the bomb machine wasn't just a code-breaking tool. It was also one of the earliest computers ever built. And I don't mean like a Radio Shack computer from the 80s. I mean it predated modern computers by decades. In fact, the bomb's basic design is still used in computers today. Without Turing and his team, who knows how much longer we would have had to wait for the digital age. And yet for all their contributions, the code breakers at Bletchley Park remained largely unknown for decades. Their work was classified for so long that many people, including family members, had no idea what they did during the war. It wasn't until the 1970s that the British government declassified the codebreakers' work and finally gave them the recognition they deserved. But better late than never, right? Now, here's the thing. We've been talking about Alan Turing for a few minutes now, and to be honest, I could go on for hours. This man was a true genius, a mathematician, logician, cryptanalyst, and computer scientist. He basically invented the field of artificial intelligence, and his work laid the foundation for everything from the iPhone to Google. Yet despite his incredible contributions, Turing's story has often been overlooked. He was a shy and private person who shied away from the spotlight. Plus, he made the mistake of being gay in a time when homosexuality was illegal and heavily stigmatized. Sadly, he was prosecuted for this and died in 1954 at the age of 41. But his legacy lives on in the countless ways his work has shaped our world. So here's my question for you. Can you imagine a world without computers or the internet? Without Turing, that might have been our reality. In fact, it has estimated that breaking the Enigma code may have saved millions of lives and shortened the deadliest conflict in human history by the whole years. And if you want to learn more about the amazing people who fought and died in World War II, click right here. Or if you want to hear more about the untold stories that shape our world, click right here. And as always, thanks for watching.